Oh, hey, that's a calendar year.
Good, how are you? Good to see you. Remember Mr. My son's in California, and I think he was at 6.0 2 weeks ago. I brought all my information.
Hi, this is Anthony DiGeronimo, Alumni Director at Benedictine High School, and I'm the class of 2008. This is my second year working at Benedictine, and we'd love to see the alumni being more involved, and hope to welcome many people back in the coming years. It's great to see many loving faces this morning. A little more about myself. I'm from Willoughby. Like I said, I'm a 2008 graduate. I'm currently assistant varsity baseball coach at Benedictine as well. And I also was in the marching band at Benedictine, so I like to stay involved with that. And hope to see everyone be a little more involved in activities and see the Benedictine name growing in the next few years.
And how often does the association meet, and where do they meet?
The Alumni Association, currently we have the Alumni Board that meets quarterly. We're always looking for members, and it meets at Benedictine High School. Our next meeting is on November the 3rd at 7 p.m.
And what time would that be?
It's at 7 p.m.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add that would be helpful?
Hope to see everyone at some games and events coming out. And if anyone would like to volunteer for the Phonathon, that begins on October 6th. And I'm always willing to take volunteers and help Benedictine's name continue to grow.
I'm Andrew Kravchuk. I spent 53 years in Virginia in the priesthood. I'm retired now, 87 years old. And I'm no longer active like I used to be.
Are you from Cleveland originally, Father?
Yeah, I was born on 119th Street in Buckeye Road.
And Kravchuk is, it's not a Hungarian name, is it?
No, it's a Slovak.
I thought so, yeah. Are Mom and Dad from the old country?
My dad was, but my mother was born in Indiana. In Perth, Indiana.
Well, how'd Mom and Dad meet?
Well, my mother's family moved to Cleveland, and they lived on 92nd Street by St. Ladislaus Church. That's where they met, you know. Big
What part of Virginia were you for all these years?
Oh, all over Virginia. Norfolk, Hampton, Arlington, Bedford, all sorts of places.
Okay, Father, anything you want to add that would be helpful?
Can't exactly think of anything at present.
Okay, and I know you're going to get some chow, so we'll shut this down now. Thanks for going on camera.
All right.
I'm John Baruch. I'm from the class of 1951 at Benedictine. I worked at the Aluminum Company of America for 42 years. I don't know what else you need to know.
Well, where do you currently live?
Okay, I live out in Aurora, in the lakes of Aurora. We have a condo out there. Married to my wife for 58 years.
How many children?
I have 3 children, 2 boys and a girl.
Are they all kind of close by here to you?
My daughter and my one son are really close. My daughter's a block away and my son is about 7 minutes from me, the oldest one.
Oh, how nice. So they're all close to you. How many grandchildren?
7 grandchildren. What can I tell you? I have 2 grandsons and 5 granddaughters.
Nice. Any greats yet?
No great.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. 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 What'd
We're
you do?
patiently waiting.
What'd you do at Alcoa?
I was superintendent of their die shop. I had all the tooling for the presses.
And those presses made big booms, didn't they? Big noises.
They
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Some big presses.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for your time, John.
Okay.
And your first time here.
First time here, yes.
Okay. Great.
Up our alumni director, I'll let him give you a little analysis of the game there. But it was nice to see such a nice turnout of alumni from all kind of different eras when you're there. Of the cathedral in Pittsburgh, and I'm putting on vestments, and there's some Pittsburgh priests putting on vestments, and they said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Cleveland." They said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "He's from Cleveland." And they acted like they didn't even know that. So I said, "You had to get your best coach from Cleveland, didn't you know that?" But it was funny that they were saying, "Well, why are you here, from Cleveland?" I said, "He's a Cleveland guy." Another funny thing that happened that I thought I would tell you about, last year during Lent, I gave a Lenten mission at St. Joseph's Parish in Massillon, I think it is. And I went down there for 3 days, and the pastor said, "The first night we're going to go and have supper at my brother's house. He wants to meet you really bad." And I said, "He wants to meet me?" And he said, "When I told him I have a priest from Benedictine doing the Lenten mission, he said, you have to bring him over my house." So we went over the house, and his brother was a paper boy in Massillon in 1957. He was 8 years old or 9 years old. He was a paper boy, and the morning after Benedictine beat Massillon, which led to the state championship recognition, he was delivering papers Saturday morning to some lady's house, and she looked at the headlines and it said, "Massillon loses, to Benedictine." And she said, "This has got to be the lowest moment in Massillon history." And this priest's brother said, "I don't think it's so bad. I'm glad the Catholic kids won." And she turned on him and she said, "You should be ashamed of yourself, young man, speaking like that. You're a resident of Massillon, and you're actually congratulating the fact that our team lost, and you're glad the Catholic kids won?" And she bawled him out, and then 2 days later she sent him a letter. He still has the letter and the envelope, postmarked 1957. And it says, "Dear Jim, you thought you were smart making those comments about our Massillon Tigers when the paper was being delivered Saturday. Well, I am at this moment dropping my subscription to the paper, and I'm going to take out a subscription with a nice Protestant boy." And he saved that letter all those years. So I made a Xerox copy of it. I have it in our files. But I said, if anybody ever doubts that they had such intense feelings down there, you could see she was so mad she canceled the paper because of the comments that he made and everything.
That's funny.
Benedictine has a lot of new faces this year, and those of you who go on the website will see that there's a welcoming event this afternoon. We have a new abbot, we have a new principal, Father Michael Brunowski, who's not a graduate of Benedictine, he's a graduate of Padua, but he's a good Slovak, and he was very much associated with Benedictine through his family and Father Andrew. He said Father Andrew spent a lot of time at their home, and when he was at John Carroll and deciding to become a priest, his brother is a pastor, a diocesan priest. He's the pastor of the largest parish in Akron, St. Hilary's in Fairlawn. Father Stephen Bernofsky. And Father Michael was a year behind him, and when he was thinking of the priesthood, he remembered all the nice visits that Father Andrew and Father Jerome, Abbot Jerome, made to their home. So he joined our community, and he's been very loyal and very good history teacher and academic dean and assistant principal. So when Joe Gressack, class of 66, took a new position in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania at a Catholic high school, he has a son that lives in New York City. I promoted Father Michael and made him our principal. So then he had to turn around and find somebody to become the assistant principal. So he made history by naming the first woman assistant principal at Benedictine. And though she's a woman, she's very connected to Benedictine because she had 8 sons come to Benedictine. Wow. One of them made it halfway through, and then he went to Gilmore, so 7 graduated. And they were from Chardon. 7 boys came from Chardon, where Jim Adair's from, and she and her husband paid tuition at Benedictine, I think, for 23 straight years. So we could name a building after them. So her name is Mrs. Susan Zuland, and her husband was a judge in Chardon. He's a lawyer in Chardon, and he's on our board. So she's very, very familiar with Benedictine. Her first son graduated in 1991, and her last one just a few years ago graduated. And then we needed a new dean of men, so they appointed the basketball coach, Albert Wilson. Big, tall African-American fellow. He's been at our school now for about 5 years. He's a graduate of what, 98? 98, and very well respected in the school. So, of course, our first African-American administrator was Chuck Reynolds, who served as principal. But this is Dean of Men and in charge of all the discipline. And then Father Gary was elected abbot. So today at 4:30 at the grotto, depending if the weather's supposed to be nicer this afternoon, we're going to have an outdoor mass, or if it's bad, inside, and then a reception with hors d'oeuvres and things for people to meet the new administration. So if any of you want to come to a mass that there won't be a collection today, you can come to the 4:30 mass at Benedictine. It won't take up a collection, so you don't have to worry about that. Also, I was following, where's all the class of 60 people here? I was following your 2 classmates around for 2 days trying to get them to come, Father Joachim and Father Timothy, and they're not moving, so you guys have to make them come here. I tried my best. I know Father Timothy, I think, went with Tom Nemec to Indians game last week or something, so he's in touch with his classmates. Father Placid, our oldest monk, in 2 weeks will mark his 70th anniversary as a priest. Most priests are lucky to make it to their 50th, and he's making it to his 70th, and he wants to have a party too. He's got a list of names, so you might be on his list. And you know, when you've been at Benedictine, he came to Benedictine in 1932. So he knows a lot of people since 1932 at Benedictine. He's still sharp, he's with it, he doesn't hear very well, you got to talk loud, and he's at Regina Health Center in Richfield. That's a nursing home for priests and nuns primarily. Beautiful place. If you ever want to visit with Father Placid, or Father Dominic, class of 60, who's there, Brother Joseph, who's 90 years old, he's there, and Brother Patrick, and former Abbot Christopher. They're all in that home there in Richfield. It's open to anybody to come and visit. You know, they all would appreciate, if you know them, to stop by and to see them. Benedictine opened the year with, I think we hit 400 students and then we lost one, so we're like right around 400. But we've made progress. We were at about 325 a couple years ago during the economic depression when a lot of tuition problems were up. But we brought in 2 classes that we graduated about 66 or 77 kids the last 2 years, and we've been bringing in about 120 as freshmen. So that's helped to push the the enrollment up. So we've got a nice freshman class again and a good sophomore class. The Basu Field, once again, if you haven't seen the Basu Field, or if you haven't given any money toward it, shame on you. If there's one guy that had an impact on Benedictine for 50 years, it was Augie Basu. And if you can't send us $50 in memory of him or something better, you know, a lot of people have, and we have beautiful pavers that we have in the circle there. 2 alumni stepped up to the plate and helped us get fencing, and also we had to put seats in. Originally, we weren't going to be putting seats in because it was a practice field, but it's also the varsity field for lacrosse, which is very popular at Benedictine. Almost as many kids go out for lacrosse now as they do for football, and soccer. That's also our home field for soccer and home field for freshman football games. So people were bringing their folding chairs and sitting on that hillside, and it was dangerous. So we had to put seats in. That diverted $90,000 to other parts. We have to put the roofless pavilion, which is where our alumni reunion takes place every year, and a scoreboard. However, we have a grant that we wrote that we may be getting some money in to help with those 2 things in the next few weeks. But it looks beautiful. The fencing that's there, one of the alumni stepped up and gave money for that fencing. And the class of 78, which is a very dynamic class, they're the ones that pushed this field for the last 10 years. They took 2 months or 3 months and they raised $30,000 from among their classmates, and they put in a beautiful stairwell that goes from the field to the upper parking lot, stone steps. And they have all their classmates' names in the stones. They call it the class of 78 stairway that they have there. But it's very good because grade schools that come and play CYO games there, the parents are very impressed to see a beautiful backyard. A lot of them don't know Benedictine had such a beautiful backyard, and that's helped us to get people interested in our school. So, and it also keeps our athletes from having to run down to Luke Easter Park, Woodland Hills Park, and practice. We're able to keep everybody on the property like that. So it's a very successful project and very beautiful. If you're ever in the neighborhood, you can just drive in, go in the big parking lot, take a look at it, and also the big bus garage. Anthony's uncle has been our bus director, transportation and mechanic for 30 years, and we built a beautiful new transportation garage because we still provide bus service for students to come to Benedictine. I celebrate Mass in Avon, Ohio for 34 years. We just graduated our first 2 students who went through Benedictine for 4 years, and they both were very successful. And we have a sophomore from Avon who was at the top of his class, and he won a full scholarship by scoring a 99 on our entrance test. So if you have relatives or grandchildren or friends and don't think that they live too far for Benedictine, we have students that come from Mentor, we have students from Berea, and I said we have students from Avon, so they come from all over the place. So that's probably my recap of what's happening at Benedictine these days. Our choir, believe it or not, you wouldn't think our choir would be that popular. We have a very good music director. Our band is over 40 members again. And the choir decided they were going to go to Rome to participate in a festival, a song festival in April. And it cost $60,000 to take the choir to Rome. And they raised that money themselves. The school did not pay for this. One of our alumni was so impressed that he sent a check for $25,000 to help them go to Rome. And he's from Chicago, he's not even from Cleveland. So they went to Rome and they sang in St. Peter's Basilica during a Mass, and several other events that were in Rome, and Father Michael went along with them and some of the parents, and it was a very nice profile. Sometimes we don't think of Benedictine in the arts, but this music teacher also has put in a computer lab for music where students can go and put their musical compositions on computer and hear what they sound like. And it's very popular, so that's another angle that's up in going. I'd like to just shift for a moment and let Anthony come up here. Anthony DiGeronimo is class of 2008. And Anthony's father graduated in '73, Rick DiGeronimo, and he's been our freshman algebra teacher for what, 38 years? 38 years his father's been at Benedictine. We got DiGeronimos all over the place, so that's a family that's been very loyal to Benedictine. So he wants to tell you a little bit about some alumni things, and I'll give you his view on the team and the game, because he's a coach with our baseball team too. Anthony.
So, just to introduce myself again. You guys don't know me, I'm Anthony DiGeronimo. I'm the alumni director from the class of 2008. I'm one of 7 DiGeronimos to graduate from Benedictine. This is my dad's 38th year, and my uncle's 30th year in the bus garage. This is my second school year working at Benedictine, and I'm also the second season coaching at Benedictine.
This was a DiGeronimo family from Mount Carmel. So, you know, near Benedictine, that part. So,
Not the Independence one.
Yeah. Are there any Mount Carmel people here? Grads? Okay.
Too many.
You are about 115?
115th of what?
115th is where his grandpa was, yeah.
A little background, just to give you guys a recap from last night, unfortunately was the first loss of the year. We lost to Bedford 27-12. Bedford's one of the highest rated teams in the area. They had a really good defense, and unfortunately they shut us down. But the first 2 games of the year, the football team won 62-13 and 26-7 over Youngstown, Ursuline, and Normandy. And if you guys have been paying a little bit of attention, the team's been top 10 ranked the whole season, so we're looking forward to some great things going on. And we have one of the best players in the country. He's currently a senior. His name is Jerome Baker. He's signed a letter of intent, or a verbal intent, to go to the University of Florida to play next year. So Benedictine has greatly appreciated that. A little bit more of alumni events going on. Next month, upcoming, if you guys, anybody here received my alumni email blast? Anybody on the alumni list? Good, excellent. Next month is the phone-a-thon. The phone-a-thon will begin on October the 6th, and that begins at 6 p.m., and it's going to go for 11 days. And the phone-a-thon is a key piece to the annual fund, where alums are called to, donate to the annual fund to help scholarships and financial assistance for our students, and that's a key piece because many of our students receive that, and without that help, that they wouldn't continue to attend Benedictine. So your help would be greatly appreciated in volunteering. If you know anyone that would want to volunteer, or just want to come down and pitch in for a little bit, that would be greatly appreciated. If you guys want, even I'll mail you the class list or email class list, and you'd like to call your class members, I would greatly appreciate that.
And if you want a free lunch, we started inviting, the phone-a-thon usually takes place at night, and we provide food in that. But last year, we got some requests, especially our dear Jim Gauntner, who passed away. He started coming during the day. And we just gave him an empty room, gave him a cell phone, and gave him lunch. And he brought some buddies down, and they had a good time. You could do it during the school day. It doesn't have to be in the evening. And then George Martin and a few others, they like to have a list given to them, and they do it at home. So it's a good way to talk to people. And if you're interested in trying it, give it a try for one night or one afternoon, and it's a big help. Just let Anthony know that.
That would be greatly appreciated. Like I said, we're just looking to keep growing the school. We're back up to around 400 kids, which is great from where we were down 325 a few years ago. So that financial assistance is key. Anything you guys can pitch in. Also, with me, I brought lots of information if you guys are interested about the current fact sheet that's going on in the school, the Bennett, and the football pledge program if anyone is interested in pledging information, and assistance to the football program. Does anyone have any questions or anything for anything going on in the school?
Anthony, I talked to Father Gerard about the Angel Fund. Could you give us, we never hear about that. Do you know what the Angel Fund is?
The Angel Fund is if people want to make contributions to Benedictine to help people with their tuition and stay anonymous. That's how you do it, and we generate a contribution letter for tax purposes. But you send it in care of the Angel Fund. And if there's somebody in particular you'd like to help, well, you let us unofficially know that, but if you send it to the Angel Fund in general, which is our kind of emergency fund, then you can have that deducted for tax purposes.
Anybody else have any questions of what's going on in the school? Any information you want to know?
Who does not go on email here?
Yeah, email addresses, anybody?
I will, we can make a list, and I can take your name and make a list. So you guys
Every
can get-
Friday, he sends out information on email, and we're also going to have a regular hard copy newsletter coming out.
Correct.
Where it'll come in the mail that you actually put your hand on with some information on there too.
Anyone here on social media? Probably not. You guys know him, really. Benedictine is on Twitter for anyone that ever joins social media. Just so you know, you get the, and if you're not at the football game, you can get updates that way.
Can I make unless anybody else has a comment, I'd just like to minute of everybody's attention. I'm Joe Arnett, class of 1951, and one advantage of being that old is that you remember Benedictine history from way back. Now, I also wanted to allude back to Father Gerard's talk about the Massillon victory in 1957. Well, we happen to have one of our alumni here that played in that game, and I'd like him to stand up and take a bow. Stands Eric. Stand. I did not. I'm sorry.
You should be
I
ashamed.
knew your brother Norm. Yeah. Okay.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You made that woman cancel her newspaper subscription.
Hey, Joe, I happen to be the water boy for that team.
And also played for the Cleveland Browns in 1964 when they won their last championship. Let's give them another hand for that. Okay, and again, that's the advantage of being old.
Another alumnus I'd like to call up to tell you about something. Since there's a few people here of the Italian persuasion, you may find it interesting. Jim Adair, class of 62, wants to tell you something that's been on our website for the last month and give you a little update about that.
First of all, it's pretty obvious that Father Gerard went to a Catholic school because he laid that Catholic guilt on all of us. So he must have had Sister Mary Holy Water like I had. But we're supposed to give $50, so Father Gerard said. We're going to start this coming year, April 2015, we're going to have our first ever Alumni Association St. Andrew Abbey tour. We're going to go to Italy. So we're hoping that all of you received our flyer. We used the labels from the high school's Alumni Association. We're going to hit it hard on our email list and things like that. So we also have mailed to the Oblates, all the Oblates of St. Benedict at the St. Mary's Chardon and also at the monastery in Cleveland to take part in this tour to Italy. It's going to cover all the high points. We're going to be Rome. Hopefully we'll have an audience with our Holy Father, Francis, and he's very, very popular, as you know. He has almost doubled the number of people that have seen him in the first 12 months than John Paul II, who was, prior to that, the most popular pope for people to see. So we're hoping to do all of these things and see all the high points from Venice all the way down. We're hoping that you all want to participate in this. And again, we're anticipating that this will be the first of many. We'd like to do this every year to a different place. Maybe somewhere in the United States, go to California, do the wine train or something like that, or do an Alaska cruise.
Tell them how that worked with the high school in Cincinnati, Moeller, is it?
Oh yeah, Moeller and Elder both do these things. And now since Benedictine has signed up, we've got St. Joseph over on the west side. Moeller and Elder have been doing this every year for like 12 years, and they're up to 2 a year now. So their alumni association is very strong and very attentive to what is going on at the school, and they're doing trips twice a year for the past 12 years, both of those high schools down there. So we're also talking to other high schools around here, and a couple colleges. So this is becoming very popular. Alumni associations like to be together like we are today, this morning, and talk about the days of the past. So hopefully, again, you'll want to participate and watch your emails. We're going to be sending all those out to you. We've already sent flyers out. We hope you got it. If you didn't, call my office, and we'll take care of that. Bobby, anything else? That's it.
Thank you, Jim. And I think it would be appropriate that our new advocate get two words, okay?
Anybody speaking after?
No, he may be going to the bathroom, but that's about it. It's a long morning.
So do I have a time frame I can go on
Oh
for a
my
while? So first of all, it's a pleasure to be here this morning. Father Jordan had posted the note that you guys meet and have brunch here, so I thought I'd come out to greet you and see how things are going. And it's been 5 weeks and what's Thursday, Friday, 3 days since I've been avid, so I'm still learning on the job, so to speak. And one of the things when I first came here in this room, I thought back when I was alumni director, and also I was alumni moderator at one time, I should say moderator and chaplain. And we had the reunion, and I remember at the end of the reunion, two buddies were leaving, and one guy put his arm around the other guy and says, "Until we meet again." And that sort of stayed with me because I saw how Benedictine had brought so many people from various different areas of the city together, ethnic backgrounds, and how that bond is built. And so when I saw that and heard that, it just stayed with me because that's what Benedictine's all about. Until we meet again. So even those that could not be here, I was pleased to see that there are a number of different classes represented here. You know, so it says that somehow, some way, Benedictine had touched your life. And I know some of the guys that were talking with me came back as teachers, others have influenced in different ways, and some of you guys have your own stories of teachers in your life that really made an impact. You know, and that's what we're all about, reaching each other, making an impact, and bringing others, as I say, closer to God through the gifts that He's given each one of us. And so I wanted to share that with you, and also the fact that I had a learning experience about the importance of having others reach out to me. Not that I'm asking you to reach out to me today, but it was back in January. I was doing some team building with a few of the students that I work on with retreats. It was out in near the Hold'em Arboretum area out there, Kirtland, I guess it is, and the ground had become frozen and snow, and I'm walking around, I had boots on, and I fell. And the young man that was doing the team building says, "Father, you were unconscious for about 30 seconds, so I had to call EMS. Well, I went to the hospital, and then they had to send me to Hillcrest because I had blood on the brain at the time, and also had broke my wrist. And it was a quite interesting story, but I'm going to make it short because I use this for my homily a couple times, different aspects of those stories. But when I went to Hillcrest, they go, "Father, we don't see any blood there in the brain. I mean, on the brain." And I says, "It's a miracle. God took care of me." He says, "Well, sometimes the brain absorbs the blood." So I says, "I still like the miracle stories." So I had concussion for 10 days from that fall, and then I had to go to therapy. I had surgery, 4 plates and 8 pins put in my left arm here. So I still can't use my fist as well as I did before. Well, one of the stories I learned from that, one of the lessons I learned from that was to let others share their talents with me. Because I always so many times feel I have to be on the spot and always be there for others. But God says it's a two-way path. You know, we have to work together. And one example, and there are so many examples of how some of the monks had to drive me. For about 2 months I couldn't drive, so I had to rely on people to drive me, especially to Mass. And some of the monks would drive me to Mass. But I was at church one time, and I was in the sacristy, and I had different other type of boots. And the ones that, you know, the old ones, the rubber type of boots that you pull over your shoes, you have the zip on there. And so I've had these boots for about 15 years, they're starting to fall apart, and I go there, I'm wearing the splint, I'm trying to put the boots on, and I just couldn't. And so there's a lady that I use the term was more mature than I don't want to say she was older than I, because I shared this at Mass, and she says, "Father, you need some help." And first of all, I want to say no. So I says, oh, I better say yes, because I really do. So he says, okay. And she got on her knees and she put the boots on me. And that was just a very humbling experience, you know. And so I realized that all of us have gifts and talents. And part of that is just share that with each other, because that's what we're here for. And I had also, I'm going to sort of conclude with this one story. I also had been in baseball for 2 years when I was in junior high. I had a perfect batting average, 0-0-0. I got on base when they walked me, but I think these expired, that's why you wore a yellow cloth on my side, and I think that distracted the pitcher. But anyways, and then I played left field. I had a perfect catching average, 0-0-0. But anyways, the ball never hit me in the head, so I don't know if the Lord was protecting me. But one of the things I learned from there, of the many lessons, is to appreciate others because they have talents that I don't have. And so, you know, all of us here have, even no matter what stage of life we're in, we have talents and we have gifts. And God calls us to share those, you know, until we're in heaven. So you have an impact on others, and I have an impact on others. Together we have an impact. So I just thank you guys for what you're doing, just gathering, you know, just sharing, having fun, you know, whether it be time, whether it be energy, efforts, whether it be flowing time, you know, gifts, doesn't matter. Just sharing your talents and gifts with those who are Benedictine and those who aren't, you know, bring the Benedictine name to others and saying, that's what it means to be a man of Benedictine. So thank you guys, appreciate the
I just wanted to bring out the 3 alumni that are in the news. You read about LeBron James, you may know that his agent, Richard Paul, is our graduate of '98. And he's come around to the school a couple of times, and he did mention Benedictine in an article that was where?
It was in the New York Times.
New York Times about a week or 2 weeks ago. So he's a Clevelander, and he's very much involved with the old King James phenomenon. Also, Eddie Tamba, another Woodland boy, class of '77. He's a commander for the Cleveland Police Department. He was just named to be in charge of all the security for the Republican National Convention. So it's a very big job, and he's got a budget, I heard, of $20 million that he's going to be in charge of. So Benedictine man is in charge of that. And also, we were very happy, a younger graduate of ours, African-American, Freddie Collier, was named planning director of the city of Cleveland. Freddie grew up across the street from Benedictine, right around the corner by Buckeye, and he graduated in '92. And his mother was a single mother who scrubbed floors at Huron Road Hospital because she wanted him to come to Benedictine. And when he was in 8th grade, he wasn't interested because there was no girls at Benedictine. But he felt bad because his mother did all this work to raise the money, so he did come, and he was very appreciative. And while he was at Benedictine, Mayor Mike White came and gave an assembly. And he remembered Mayor White saying, you guys here can be the future of Cleveland. Don't go running away and moving to another city. So it stayed with him, and he went to Cleveland State, and he got a degree in city planning. And then he applied and got a low-level job at City Hall and worked his way up. And now he's the head of all planning for the city of Cleveland. And he's also a member of our board of trustees at Benedictine. But a real beautiful story, you know, of somebody who was a poor guy, came to Benedictine and got trained and inspired, and now he's giving back to the city of Cleveland. And I hope everybody, I'm going to put Anthony by the door when you're leaving, so everybody should get a Bennett and a fact sheet, because sometimes people you meet, you know, they have all kind of strange ideas about Benedictine. I was approached and said, we heard Benedictine's going to move to Chanel and take over Chanel's building. You know, there's all kind of crazy rumors out there. So we have a nice fact sheet for you and a few other things. Make sure you get it before you go home. Thank you.
Don't anybody go away, I just have a couple of announcements. First of all, I still got the camera going.
We'll lose it another year.
Social media was mentioned For those who have not gotten on camera yet, as you probably don't know, I try to videotape everyone. Tell me who they are, what class they are, and we put it up on YouTube. And if you've been videotaped and you haven't seen it yet, Google search Benedictine Men's Breakfast, and you'll see them all. There's probably a dozen of them, by now. And anyhow, if you haven't been on, you're a newcomer, Stan Zurich, you were here one other time, I missed you, so hopefully I can get you on camera later. And that's all I said. Does everybody know what today is? Today is Commodore John Berry Day. John Berry was the father of the U.S. Navy, and he was born in Wexford, Ireland. I just wanted to tell you that. I have some notes about it. Thanks, that's all I hear.
Well, I want to welcome our guests and for you guys coming. It's like a family. We start all over again, and we do have new ones. I mean, we're growing here. I mean, you like to share your memories. So we have the first timers that are here. Will the first timers stand up, please? All the first timers. Now, let's start from my left and go right around and tell me your name and the year you graduated. All right, a little bit.
Jack Peroche, 1951.
51.
Rich Proskell, class of 59.
59.
Jim Kavitsky, class of 58.
58.
John Peters, class of 53, and I taught there from 1958 to 1966.
Wonderful.
And tell them where you taught, you also set a record somewhere else, John.
I defected to Walsh Jesuit High School.
No, he's a long time, 40 years at Walsh Jesuit?
47.
47 years at Walsh Jesuit.
Wow.
Teaching the highest level of math. They had to find a Benedictine guy to do it.
Okay. Now we have Father.
Father Patrick, 45.
1945. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for coming, Father. And we have another new
And
one.
I'm Steve Kranek. I'm 61, but I'm wearing my 74 shirt because I was a teacher there at Benedictine 66 to 72. And my class of 74 that I left in their sophomore year put out this Benedictine sweatshirt, which I just got out of the mothballs this morning for you. So don't say I smell. And Mr. Francioli, my teacher, way back then.
Wonderful.
And Peter sounds very familiar. Is that Peter?
Yes, it is.
Sounds very familiar.
There
And
are
a lot
three
of
of us
other
there.
names, I'm sure. Glad to have been here, Mr. Rivera. Thank you for inviting me. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't know about this.
Welcome.
Never taught it. in
That's
any
what it is. I think
publication.
there's more finding out about us, sharing their memories, and this is what it's all about. So like I said, we're all from all different classes, so don't feel strange, just try to blend in, you know what I mean? And we're having fun, you're enjoying yourself, so this, we like to keep going. So I want to thank you all for coming also, and our guests. Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay, I'm Steve Kranek, K-R-A-J-N-A-K, class of 61, Benedictine. John Carroll, 66 and 73, with masters. Taught at Benedictine, 66 to 72. And I've been in public schools for another 27 years after that. Then part of that 27 years I was ending up at a Catholic school. I was at Lake Catholic. Guidance counselor, English teacher, and all that. Primarily Benedictine for English, speech, and I was the choir director, which was an infant at that time in the late 60s. I am married to a Czech from Holy Family in 131st Street, B, and we have 3 adult children who are magnificent people in the community. One a pharmacist, the second one was a teacher and still is a teacher at Kelly's Island for 8 years and now in the Cleveland Heights district. And my son is at NECL as the giving chairman of the Sisters of Notre Dame for NDCL. We have 3 grandchildren. My first visit here, I've been to another alumni visit sponsored by Father Gonda at another location, which was primarily for former teachers, which we had a wonderful time at that. And I never knew this existed in all the publications that I get and read. I must have missed it somewhere. This was a fantastic get-together. I met 3 or 4 crayons, which means relatives or friends, and people, none of my former students that I remember. But great program. You couldn't have had a better place and a better time. Thank you for letting me know about this. This was Mr. Adair that let me know about this, and I appreciate it.
We're very glad that you're here. Thank you.